Hello and welcome to episode 142 on the Everyday Joy podcast. Just around the corner, we are going to be doing a deep dive series. Now, I'm your host, Joy Ravella, and I love doing these deep dive series where we just knuckle down on 5 really powerful moments, and you and I, just you and I, sit down and unpack it together. But I want to be able to unpack the right episodes with you. So if there's been a really powerful moment or a topic, send through an email on the Everyday Joy inbox. All of those details are in the description below. Hey, I'd also love for you, if you haven't already, to recommend this podcast to your friends, to your family, to send them a link. There's so many different topics, so many different areas that can benefit people from all different walks of life. So if you know of an episode, even if it was way back, flick through a link. We have new people joining the community every single day, and we really want to keep that growing. Right now, though, let's get into today's conversation. Big Sis Joe is on the job today. Let's get into it.
Matthew 5 verse 5 in the Message Bible says this. Jesus said, "You're blessed when you're content with just who you are, no more, no less. That's the moment you find yourself proud owner of everything that can't be bought."
Once again, I have got Joe Chapman here in studio with me. Joe, so good to have you.
Thank you.
We've had a lot of great conversations, and if you want to sort of dive deeper into those conversations, check out the Everyday Joy Facebook community page.
Yeah, it's such a great page.
It's so good. I posted up this picture of my pantry the other day because we moved, and it just looks like chaos. And I was really surprised just with how lovely the community is. All these tips and tricks, like where to buy storage containers, like ideas on how to organize them. So it really is just such a beautiful community. And the one thing that we all have in common is we all love the idea of growing every day, verse by verse, with real conversations. And we've had a lot of them this week. Another one today, I am sure, Joe.
Yes.
So what is your first impression of this verse?
2 things that I see, 2 words that stick out to me is content and proud. Often we're not content. We're ever searching for change, and this isn't good and that isn't good. And we'll often find it hard to be proud of ourselves. And so it's a harsh world out there. And learning to be happy with who you are is something that I think we all struggle with.
Yeah, absolutely. I did an episode, a deep dive actually, on this very verse. I think it's episode 115, where I talked about my self-image and all of that sort of stuff. And man, every day it's like it's going around the same mountain, it feels like. And one of the things that I encourage myself with, I remember hearing it once, and the picture kind of goes like this. You know, the Tower of Pisa, right? Apparently you can walk upstairs and there's this massive winding staircase and it's narrow. And so you just feel like you're walking in circles, really, because you're not moving in an upwards direction very quickly. And every time you look out the window, you see the same view. And so you're kind of saying to yourself, like, what's happening? I'm just going round and round and round and round. I'm seeing the same things. But all along, you're moving in a third direction. And I think for me, when I think about this verse, I say to myself, Joy, yes, you might be struggling with the same things, and you might always be struggling with the same battles, but you're always moving in a third direction, even though you may not be able to see it or feel it. So that's one of the things that I often think of when I think about this verse. What does this verse, though, tell you about who God is or what matters to him?
I think no matter where we're at, God is not against or for you. He's consistent. So, you know, at any stage of your life, you might say, I'm not doing this well enough. I'm not conquering that. I haven't overcome that. God's not sitting there saying that. He knows you're right where you are at the time that you are, for the purpose that you are. And, you know, he is content and proud of you. He's just waiting for you to find that about yourself.
Yeah, it's nice to not have like one of those screaming coaches.
Yeah,
come on, you can do better.
It's true.
So how has this verse come alive in your world, Joe?
I think the first thing I want to say is that being 53, I will say that I've learned and spoken to many people that you do find a contentment over yourself the older you get. It's like when you're younger, it's never right. And then when you get older, you realise what a lot of wasted time there was in not being happy with who you were. And so I think that's something, if we can learn that in our 20s and in our teens, we would be a lot happier rather than waiting to when you're older and maybe moments have passed. You can maximize that time in your early years. But one thing I'm going to pick on myself for, and I want to be Big Sister Jo, to really hope that you don't do the same, and that is around my weight and self-image. Being blessed when you're content with just who you are and being proud of yourself. So when I was in my early 20s, I had a curvy figure, but I was thin, if that makes sense. And I thought I was chubby, never happy with who I am. And I actually, I used to have someone in my life, I mean, I keep saying this someone, but you've probably figured out who this person always is, called me Pachub.
What?
Yes, I was a petite, chubby person.
Pachub?
And therefore I got the nickname Perchub, petite, chubby. Now, I wasn't chubby, I was curvy. And so it became a joke that I was Pachub, and words have power again.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm just like, that's I can't believe it.
Yeah, and I was very small. I mean thin.
Because you're height-wise?
Height-wise, I'm 150 centimetres, so I'm very small. But I'm been very curvy, and when I was younger, very thin but curvy, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
So I wasn't content, wasn't happy, always judged by things like that. You then have kids, and then your body changes, and you're never happy with anything. But you know what? I'm now in my 50s, and I've changed again. Menopause. If you know, you know. Am I right, ladies? I've got to say, the biggest and most unfair thing, but you know what? It's just a season, and then I'll probably change again. Our bodies are ever changing. But I'm not my body. I'm my spirit. I'm my character. I'm the connection, the internal connection to God. And that is, great. But also, when you're in your 40s, you look back and go, why wasn't I happy with my body in my 20s? That was a banging bod, right? Like, why was I so upset? It's because you're not content. And then when you're in your 50s and you look back at your 40s, you go, why was I unhappy? That was great. And probably when I'm 70 or 80, I'll say, why was I so unhappy when I was 50? Why are we never happy with our body the way that it is? Or whatever it is in your life. Your body's made for movement. It's beautifully and wonderfully created and made. You have 2 legs for walking, and you have hands for praising, and you have, your body is for, serving others and for, having children. It's a vessel. And so I've learned along the way, why am I never happy with the way I look? And I've decided, we're doing the Body Beautiful series in the Cam and Joe show on 89.9 The Light, and it's been a challenge for me. That's why we started it, because I've never been happy. Always got to be different. But in every single way, can we be happy with who we are in every season of life? I had a girlfriend who had cancer when she was in her 40s and died at 42. She would love to be the 53-year-old curvy Jo. She wouldn't care about the body. She'd love to have the life. It brings you back to perspective.
Yeah.
Be content with what you've got, because a lot of people don't have it. A lot of people wish they could have it. And God has resourced you to just serve and be a blessing and live life to your best. Always be healthy, but you know what? Be content.
Yeah. I'm so glad you talked about this, Jo, because I literally was having a whole moment last night. So Ari and I, we go dancing, and it's been a lot of fun, and we moved house as well. So I found a whole pile of clothes that I haven't worn for about a year, and you can probably see where this is going.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'll wear this one out to dance. And so it was this beautiful sort of jumpsuit thing, and I put it on, and even though I think for me, like scale-wise, things haven't changed, I'm turning 30 at the end of the year, and I'm noticing the redistribution of things, and I'm like, it's tighter here, it's looser there.
Yeah.
My goodness, what's going on? And I had this whole like meltdown, and I had this moment where I was like, Joy, your body is changing, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
Are you going to embrace it into this next season and own it and love it? Or are you going to shame yourself into wishing it was something it's not, and then bullying myself into forcing it to mold into some ideal? And I had this funny moment where I was looking at myself in the mirror. Now, it didn't fit the way it used to fit, but I decided to wear it anyway.
Yes.
Because I said to myself, no, Joy entering her 30s is not going to be Joy entering into her 20s. I had a whole decade of this, not again. And you know what? I got so many compliments on that outfit.
There you go. There you go. You know what? I just want to say to everybody listening, especially women or men who are struggling with their weight, be healthy. And you know what? I was a size 8 in my 20s. I then became a 10. I then became a 12. I'm currently a 14. You know what? If I was back in the 60s, that was Marilyn Monroe's size. You know? So every season changes. You know, in the 50s and 60s, it was size 14, curvy and all the rest. Then it became pencil thin and you had to be a size 6 and size 8. Now you've got to have a big bottom and you've got to be like a size whatever. You know what? It's ever changing. But what we should be grateful for and content with is that I have a body that's healthy, that's strong. And, you know, health is more important than weight. And your weight doesn't define you. If you want to get healthy, go for it. Get healthy. But don't look at your body and say, yuck. Look at your body and say, thank you, Jesus. It's the only way to be. I look and I say, I'm not where I was, but I'm where I am, and I'm grateful.
Thank goodness for honest big sis chats. Just big sister Joe telling you as it is, no sugarcoating, no nothing, just saying, honey, you got a body, be grateful for it, own it. And all I'm going to add to today's conversation is one practical application point. Sometimes we really do get into a rut with thinking negative thoughts about our bodies. And so simply saying to yourself, well, I'm not going to think about that, it doesn't work. You have to replace a bad habit with a good habit. So over on the Everyday Joy Facebook community, I have posted up 10 things that you can say to yourself in place of your negative self-talk, specifically around your body. Now, these 10 things come from Bible verses, quotes, psychological statements that are proven to help you think in a more positive way. So make the most of that resource. It is up on the Everyday Joy Facebook community. So loved today's conversation. I hope you did too. I look forward to catching up again tomorrow right here on the Everyday Joy podcast.